Your showreel is the most important thing you can use to attract new paying clients, and I'm going to show you 20 techniques to craft a perfect showreel for motion design and animation. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how you can submit your own showreel for review on this channel. Length. Shorter is definitely better. Between 30 and 60 seconds is ideal. The people watching your reel that are actually going to hire you can probably tell within the first 20 seconds of your reel whether you're good for the job, and they're generally pretty busy people, so will definitely appreciate you not taking up as much of their time. My first showreel was almost 2 minutes long, and it had no right to be that long. If you're a beginner or a student that doesn't have as many projects to fill out a reel, keep it even shorter. No one complains if a reel is too short, only if it's too long. Keep them wanting more. Only include your best work. You don't need to show off all the projects that you've done to show that you're capable of every different style of animation. That's not that important. What's more important is the quality. If you've got a bunch of 9 out of 10s and some 8 out of 10s, don't include your 7s and 6s. Keep it tight, and whoever sees it is going to see an overall higher quality. The weaker projects just bring down the average, so cut them ruthlessly, and I know that's hard. Only include work that you want to get more of. If you've got a lot of maybe 3D type animation that look really good, but you don't have any interest in doing any more of those projects and you don't want them, don't put them in your reel, because that's what people will expect. If you're looking to get a staff position at a small studio, they are probably wanting a Swiss Army knife who can jump between lots of projects and has a lot of different skills. So you might want to include some broader projects there, but definitely make sure the quality is consistent. Structure. Start with your best work first and end with something strong as well. And definitely front load all of your best animations, so that if someone only watches half your reel, they see the best stuff, and hopefully that encourages them to watch the rest of it. But you also want the last project to leave a good impression. If your reel starts really strong but ends weak, whoever's watching it will think, wow, this reel is pretty good, but it's not as good as I thought it was when I first started watching it. You want to leave the best impression possible. You need to make your role clear. If you did the design, but not the animation, put that clearly in the description under the reel. You don't want someone to inquire about your reel wanting to hire you saying, oh, we love the character animation you did. And then you have to kind of awkwardly explain, oh, actually, I just did the backgrounds in that shot. And you may want to avoid shots like that altogether. You don't want someone else's work being the highlight of your showreel. Fill it up with personal work. It's not cheating at all. My last showreel was probably 60% personal work, and no one really cares who you animated it for. They care that the animation is good. Having a big brand or client in your showreel can be good because it shows that you've been vetted by the industry and can be trusted with known properties, but it's not as important as the overall quality. Music. Choose something that suits the tone of your animations and a mood that you want to convey with your work. I personally like tracks with a faster tempo and a lot of percussive elements so I can cut on the beat a lot easier. And if something has a breakdown in the middle as well, you can play with the variety of tones. Now, pretty much everyone uses copyrighted music that they don't have the right license for. I've done it in the past because it's kind of hard to find royalty-free music that's good for a showreel, and it's expensive to pay for your own custom music. You won't be crucified in the industry at all for using copyrighted music, but I can't in good conscience recommend it. If the roles were reversed and a musician was using your animations to promote their stuff, you probably wouldn't like it. Update your reel often. Once a year is a pretty good time to aim for, although not all motion designers do it. You can also update your reel sooner, maybe every 6 months, but it's really when you have enough work to justify it. I'd say as soon as you have 40 seconds of animation that's better than your previous reel, that's the time to update it. Show the process. I don't see this a lot in reels, but I think it's really interesting whenever I see a bit of a work in progress of a certain shot where maybe someone sees the roughs and then the blocked in animation and then it cleaned up, or maybe the animation without the effects. Those can be really interesting and help the client sort of imagine how you might work with their products. Show personality. You're only going to get hired for 2 reasons. If you have great work or you're great to work with. Now, most of the time, the clients haven't worked with you before, so you've got to convince them of the second one. And a good way to show that is to add some individual flair of personality into your show reel, because they're probably watching 20 reels back to back, and if you can show that you're not just a robot, that's going to help. And you could do that with maybe a custom intro. Say if you're really into monkeys, have a bunch of monkeys swinging across the letters of your name. Small touches like that can help you stick out in the mind of the client. Show your design. If you do some design but don't animate those results all the time, it's fine to include some style frames. The awesome art director Nydia Diaz included a whole bunch of style frames in her reel, sort of interweaved between the final projects. And it's absolutely awesome. I don't see this nearly enough, so you can definitely include your design work. Tailor your reel. Tailor your reel to a specific job or a specific client. If you really want a job at this studio, but they only do 3D work and no 2D, maybe duplicate your reel, remove the 2D projects, and include more 3D work that's going to be more relevant to them. I wouldn't do this for every single client, but if there's one job offering that you're really into and want to give yourself the best chance to get it, it might be worth customizing your reel a bit. Treat it like a client project. Artists are terrible at doing work for themselves. Whether it's creating a new website or even updating your portfolio, it often gets pushed to the very lowest priority because there's no outside pressure for you to do it. So I definitely recommend blocking out time for you to specifically work on your reel. Maybe set a deadline 12 months from when you updated your reel last and work towards that goal and just make sure it gets done. And I'm also terrible at this, so I'm not immune by any means. Get feedback from your peers. What you think might be a really strong animation might be pretty weak to someone else. You might want to include something because it took you so long to animate and the client was really awful, but you got there in the end and it looks great. But in reality, it might not look that great and maybe you're projecting all of your hardship onto that, and that's not really going to matter to whoever's watching it. So find someone that you trust to be honest with you to give you feedback. The worst feedback you can get is someone just saying, yeah, great reel. Ask them to offer you specific improvements they think that could make it better. Don't include work that's obviously straight from a tutorial. If you include work where you've just followed a tutorial and maybe tweaked the color slightly, people are going to know. Not only do art directors and producers watch some of these tutorials, but even if they haven't seen that specific tutorial, they'll have seen someone else copy that tutorial 2 times that week. Certainly use things you've learned from the tutorials, but use the skills and the techniques you've learned, not the actual assets and design from that example. Take what you've learned and make it your own. No dragons, no robots, no spaceships. Okay, that might be a bit extreme, but I've heard that from a lot of people that review 3D reels. Typically, that's what students make first because they're pretty easy to get looking cool. Seeing a shot of a spaceship doesn't really tell you an awful lot about the skills of who made it because there's not an awful lot of animation, there's not a lot of weight going on, and it's become a bit cliche of reels these days. Although I love a good robot, dragon, or spaceship, send me those privately anytime. No long intros. We don't need 20 seconds for you to explain what year it is and that this is a show reel. We know that before we clicked on it. Get straight to the point, what we're here for, which is your animations. I have legitimately seen reels where half of the animation is just the intro. And hey, it looked good, but it wasn't what we were there for, and it was kind of confusing for the first 10 minutes. Use editing software. This may seem enormously obvious to most of you out there, but I edited my first reel in After Effects, and it was painful. The next year when I updated my reel, within 1 minute of opening Premiere, I could hear angels singing. It was as if this software was made exactly for editing clips together. So use an editing software, whatever you need, just don't use After Effects. Time remapping. If you have a shot that you really want to include, but you want to hit a really specific beat and include a few extra frames of your animation, you can speed it up by 20% or slow it down by 10%. I've done that a whole bunch of times in my previous reels and it's imperceptible. Nobody notices, and even I can't tell the difference anymore. Control or Command R is the shortcut in Premiere for speeding up your clips. Reanimate your shots. If you see a shot that you've already done and think, if I had an extra hour, I could improve it, improve it. If it's on a client project, double check your contract or with the client to make sure you're allowed to make changes to it, because sometimes it's down there in the small print that you can't. But if you can, definitely go for it. It's going to make your reel look better. Here's an example I did. This was a GIF I made for the Dropbox blog a couple of years ago, and it's just a pretty static animation. But for my latest reel, I just added a position animation, so it slides from screen left to screen right, and just keeps the pace and doesn't grind it to a halt for this really static scene. And a bonus tip is upload it natively everywhere. Of course, upload it to Vimeo, but also upload it to LinkedIn, to YouTube, to Facebook, to Instagram. Anywhere you can, upload it specifically in that platform. Don't just link it to that page on Vimeo. All of those platforms will help promote a natively uploaded video way more than a linked one, because they don't want to risk people going off their site and not coming back. I'm going to be doing a showreel critique in a couple of weeks on this channel. So in the description, you'll see a form where you can submit a link to your reel and maybe it'll get featured on the channel. I'll be reviewing your reel and how to improve it. It doesn't matter how advanced your animation skills are. This isn't about the animation, it's about the reel itself. But I will be ruthless. Constructively ruthless. To discover the best ways to learn motion design, I've created a short playlist of videos that I think you'll enjoy if you made it this far. Please like the video and consider subscribing if you'd like more of these videos every week. I'll see you in the next video.